1955 by virtue of a deal that brought ourselves, Spain, Japan, and a number of others in, but also saw Poland, which was in the Soviet orbit at that time, and a number of others into the UN. The key point is that Ireland grew up in the United Nations precisely at the time when so many African and Asian countries in particular were joining the organization upon becoming independent. And our national journey, the scars of colonial administration and the psychological scars that leaves on any country, as well as the scars of partition and intercommunal, or I won't say interethnic, but intercommunal difficulties. All of that national experience that we had, we immediately found an echo in the experiences of African and Asian countries that were coming on stream into the UN. We have, for example, a deep-seated attachment to the principle of sovereignty and self-determination of peoples. The countries of Africa and Asia know who's who within the European Union, and if they establish a spectrum of opinion on these kinds of issues within the European Union, they know where Ireland typically will be. And that's why it's a matter of great sadness to us that the Palestinian people have not yet entered into statehood. It's a very, very complex historical situation there, as you know well. It seems to me that the agreement or the outcome that will yield peace in that region has to respect the sovereignty and the security of Israel and its people. After all, the General Assembly it was that in 1947 adopted the resolution to partition Palestine and to, so to speak, sign the birth certificate of an Israeli state, of a Jewish state in Palestine. But at the same time, for a peace to be agreed rather than imposed, it would clearly have to confer statehood on the Palestinian people. And the territorial contours of that state will be nowhere near being restricted to the West Bank and Gaza as we know it at this point, if there is to be an agreed outcome. I think both sides are entitled, by virtue of their sad history and the victimization that each of them has suffered in different contexts over the years, to hope for and to expect support from the outside world in reaching an agreed outcome. But it won't be an agreed outcome if it's an imposed outcome. It won't be an agreed outcome if it's imposed by violence from either side. The United States and the European Union and many others have tried hard to help to bring the parties to a settlement of the Middle East dispute. I've no doubt it's a very great challenge for any American government to discharge that function, because even as the United States is the indispensable mediator, if you like, it is also, as we know, the principal ally of one of the protagonists. And allies behave like allies. What's the use in being an ally if you don't behave like one? So it's not a model of conflict resolution that any school will teach you, and I'm sure this school wouldn't teach you, to design a peace process by which the principal mediator is also the principal ally of one of the sides. But the reality of matters is that the United States, being the power it is, having the influence it has, having the tradition of involvement there, is the indispensable mediator. And we will all in Europe look to work going forward on this with the new administration of President-elect Obama to try to do what we can do to bring the parties closer to an agreed settlement. Your heart goes out at different times to both sides. The Palestinian people do not deserve the conditions they live in. We have a huge number of people, well over 1 million in Gaza at the moment, virtually cut off in very, very deprived conditions, as a matter of course. You have all kinds of economic and social infrastructure being curtailed and restricted and kept to a minimum, frankly. I don't know anybody reasonable who believes that from that kind of a situation you can have tranquility or an agreed settlement. By the same token, Israeli parents are entitled to hope that their future will be one that does not include innocent people being killed and maimed by bombs on the street or by rockets on the street. Our experience in Ireland and my experience in working in conflict resolution in many places around the world is that there is never a situation where right is exclusively on one side and wrong is exclusively on the other side. There is always a degree of right on each side and a degree of fault on each side. And it's when both sides are honest with themselves and with each other and stop trying to delegitimize each other. And as a UN mediator at a very high level said to me once of a conflict situation where two peoples had gone through great pain, when they learn to cry together, then maybe they will be better placed to take the decisive step forward.
Please join me in thanking Ambassador Kavanagh and Ambassador Kamal.
Thank you very much.